My mother always said, boy, you better believe in something, or else you'll fall for nothing. You trust in your best friend, even above me, and that's Jesus Christ.
Well, amen, preacher.
Good job. You know, you're a mess, brother. You're a mess.
Are we going to celebrate this year the proclamation?
Emancipation Proclamation.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Okay.
You didn't give a chance for the sentence. You know, not gonna know. Simmons did say, Simmons did pass anything about last meeting.
That's right. You were out with the flu.
You heard, you hear that, right?
Yeah. Well, no, nothing was discussed about it, but maybe we should talk to Pastor. It completely slipped by me.
Too much don't get past you.
No, not me.
Not him.
I mean, I have relatives of slave survivors in my family tree, and so is my wife Shirley. Last year, we went on the website to look up our own genealogy, found that we both had great ancestors who were slaves. But the most amazing thing, gentlemen, that made me really reflect on that expression, six degrees of separation. Yeah,
It happens.
both of us had relatives that lived on the same plantation. And let me tell you, we had a common relative on that plantation. We were even able to speak to some of the most survivors. Oh my God. This is our 150th year of being emancipated from slavery. One of our cousins shared an interesting story on that night before the bill was signed. You had freed and free Africans living in the United States, gathered in churches and other safe places, while thousands of enslaved brothers and sisters stood, knelt, and prayed in holding sites in these Confederate states. They were all just waiting for President Abraham Lincoln to sign that bill into law. That was the start of what we call Wash Night service that we celebrate today. This cousin that was related to the slaves in Alabama told us how it was that night for her. She lived to be 120 years old and was a survivor of that awful time in our history.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember when I was 7 years old when I found out in the Black History class at Howard. I was stunned that the information was not in our history books back in Birmingham, Alabama. But then again, I shouldn't have. Let's not forget that good old Jim Crow laws that was in effect back then. We were lucky to get any kind of history on our people. Any kind of history on our people.
You went to Howard?
You went to Howard? My sister Teresa's going there now. She will be graduating in 2 years, God's willing. She's studying to be an entertainment lawyer.
Really? Well, that's an interesting choice.
Well, she's been in the arts all through middle and high school. She got accepted to Julian on a full scholarship. But she said in her junior year, she decided to add this to her plan to avoid getting ripped off. She's a smart young lady and always has been. She said she heard so many horrible stories of young African American women getting ripped into the bad contracts. She said that many of them lost so much money and as well their careers. She wanted to be able to be more proactive about her career. She also wanted to start her own practice on the side to help others. God bless her.
Wow. You know, she always was a bright young lady and very respectful. She always shared with her friends and family. You and your family did a great job with her. Having her in church at an early age was very wise. Train up a child in the what? The way he should go, and when he is old, he will.
Not depart from it. Proverbs 22, verse 6, and thank God for that. We all know that it doesn't always happen like that for everyone. Remember Sister Williams' granddaughter, Ronna Faye.
Yes, Lord. I had her in Sunday school. Hard-headed, my God, was she hard-headed. Sister Williams and I were always counseled over that child. Now, she was as smart as a whip, but she was just a rebel, for lack of a better word. But I heard that she finally got it together and is living somewhere out west. To God be the glory. But getting back to my cousin's story. Now, she said all the slaves that night, both house slaves and field slaves, gathered in the barn. She said that they just prayed and prayed. She said that they were there for hours together. But they were blessed to have a lenient slave master to let them do that. Now, she said it was unusually cold that night. And it wasn't until early the next morning that they found out about the signing. You see, a neighboring slave owner was visiting one of them, and the slaves that told him that they had signed the bill. But he also told him that he heard his master talking about how masters didn't agree with it and would never let their slaves go.
No, you know that.
Now, they said the slaves prayed every chance they got to ask God to free them from bondage. This cousin of mine said it made her understand how it must have felt for the Israelites when they were captured in Babylon.
Wow. And let's not forget that there were political issues going on as well. They were in the throes of the bloody civil wars going on at the same time of this bill sign. There were financial issues going on as well, which caused Lincoln to have a sympathetic ear to the slave owner's property. He had been struggling with this since he was elected in 1860. He and his colleagues in Congress pressured him all the way on all sides with concerns for their constituents. Believe you me, that was the primary issue, slavery. Even though historians say it was not, it was the save of the Union.
Yes. Well, now, there were a lot of events that fueled that war. Yes, Lincoln was at odds with himself. But on one, he had sympathized with the slaves. But on the other hand, he also sympathized with the slave owners who would lose property. Then you had things like the Missouri Compromise in 1820, Nat Turner's rebellions in 1831, the Amistad rebellions in 1832, the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848, the Future Slave Act, 1850, Uncle Tom's Cabin, which came out in 1850, and so many others. So I can see where he could argue the real reason for the war.
Yeah, well, and don't forget that all the states were not on board with slavery at all.
That's right.
On December 20th, 1860, South Carolina was the first state to declare secession from the United States. In less than a year, 10 other states followed and established their own government with their own president, Jefferson Davis. You also had the Confederate States, plus the states with dual governments like Kentucky and Missouri, and you had those border states like Delaware and Maryland, and West Virginia, and some of those territories in the mix. Oh yeah. That union was very important to that good old boys.
Well, I agree. I would agree with that, but the slave business was more of an issue than they cared to admit. We got to remember that although the main focus was on the South because slavery had been there for years, but there were some northern folks who had slaves also. Some right here in good old New York, and not all of them want to give up those slaves. To this day, the subdued underlying side of racism still exists in the North. I will never forget my grandmother saying, "Baby, I'd rather be in the South than in the North. At least those crackers in the South hate me. But in the North, they pretend they love you." This country had mixed feelings about the African Americans in this country. The mere fact that it was stated in their constitution that Negroes were defined as 3/5 humans shackled with chains and denied the right to vote said it all. What time is it? It's the time we get moving, do our sick and shut in outreach, brothers. Well, let's talk about Pastor Sunday about addressing this. Maybe we could have a regular prayer breakfast to commemorate the historical event. We probably could connect it with Obama's second term in office as well.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds great. Glad I brought it up, gentlemen. Now, I have the list here. We got 3 who are at home and 3 that are in the nursing home. How are we going to organize this?
Well, now, remember, my brother, at this point of your training, you are only able to observe the protocol we follow when we reaching out to the sick and shut in.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate that all you brothers have done for me with this. I thank God that my church family and my pastor are so supportive for all my calling in this area. Thank you both for helping me on this Christian journey.
Amen, brother. It's all right. Now, let's see. We have Mother Simpson and Trustee Wilson in the same building on Prospect Avenue. And we got Sister Hilton is on Washington Avenue. So we'll see Mother and Trustee first. Then go to Sister Hilton. Now we have Mother Jenkins and Brother Parker. They at that nursing home on the Grand Concourse. Also, Brother Howard is in the Harlem Hospital.
Oh, no. I got a call from Brother Howard's brother this morning. He told me that Brother Howard had a seizure last night and is in ICU. He asked if we would just keep his name on our prayer list.
Wow. Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that. It seemed like he was getting better the last time we saw him. You just never know these days what the Lord has in store.